Hello, is this Steve?
Yes. Am I
This
speaking?
is Peter Gabriel here.
Oh, hello there.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm a little late. I first of all had to take a train and the train was late, and then I did try once before and it was engaged.
Oh, no problem at all. Just be sure to bring a note from your note from your parents next time.
Right. Okay.
With your indulgence, I guess we'll get right into the interview then.
Fine.
Okay, where are you calling from right now?
From my home.
Oh, from your home.
Yep.
I see. And what are you currently engaged in right now in terms of music?
There is a possible project which I'm just working on at the moment, which is some unfinished studio tracks from different periods. So it will be put together as a sort of interim album, and probably a live album put out with that.
What is this period you're talking about? What years does it encompass?
I guess the last 5 years. I've had some tracks which I liked, but there wasn't room for on the album, and by the time the next album came, there was more interesting stuff or newer stuff.
Are you basically dressing these tracks up in the studio, or how are you working on them?
Well, no, a lot of them are just rhythm tracks. They're not finished. So it's so part composition, part rewriting, part new lyrics or whatever. But that's the thing. I'm just seeing if I can finish now, and also some live tapes.
Where are you working on this?
Well, I'm actually at home. I start in the studio section in about a week's time. I've just been working with some cassette tapes and so on so far.
Mm-hmm. When do you think you'll finish work on the studio portion?
I don't know. I mean, I'll probably do a couple of weeks now and then do try mixing the live material and then come back to this. So I think probably for both albums it should be about 6 weeks.
Where was the live material recorded?
Well, on about 3 dates in America. I toured there between October and Christmas.
Like what locations, for example?
It was in the Midwest. I think there was Normal, Illinois. I know we did. I'm trying to remember the others. I should have got one by me. I should say. No, it does. Maybe Bloomington, Indiana. They're not sort of legendary towns.
Not by any means. Why those particular locations, though?
Because in the big cities, there's always a ton of people backstage, a ton of, lots of things to do, and lots of distractions. And out in the Midwest, there are very little distractions, and so you can concentrate on working.
Do you find that you give your best performances at places like that?
They're certainly not confined to big cities.
What about the selections of the songs for the live album?
This I'm still unsure of. I mean, there's a lot of, probably about 2 to 3 hours worth recorded, so I have a lot to choose from, and I'll probably just use the stuff which I think sounds best or works best side by side.
Regardless of whether it's unreleased songs or previously released material?
Right. There's a couple of unreleased things which I'd like to put on, which will probably be from a live version. There's a song called Milgram's 37 and another called I Go Swimming.
About when can we expect this album to be released?
Well, theoretically May, but I've never kept to a deadline so far.
So there could be a slight delay.
I hope not.
I believe you titled all your albums so far simply Peter Gabriel. Will this be titled the same way?
Probably not, actually. I think I'll stick some sort of identifying mark, because I don't really want this sort of bunch of stuff to be seen as my next serious piece of work, but more a sort of a interim odds and sods collection.
Mm-hmm. And will this album, the live album and the studio album, be combined into one record?
We're looking at ways of selling it now. I would personally like to try and get sort of two for the price of one package, or else maybe have them as cheap releases, but that can be bought separately.
Oh, I'd like to ask you a little bit about the latest album. You have used a variety of sounds, the most prominent being, I guess, the African rhythms, African drums and whatnot.
Yeah.
Maybe you could describe for us how you came across the idea of using that type of sound, and why that type of sound in particular.
Well, about 5 years ago, I was given a rhythm machine, and or I bought a rhythm machine, and it occurred to me that I had the opportunity to explore rhythm a lot more than I had done, and I found that a lot of sort of straight rock rhythms were beginning to lose their excitement for me. So I started listening to other stuff, and I heard by chance on a radio program some African music of a soundtrack called Dingaka, which is a film which Stanley Baker, I think, produced.
Can you give me a spelling for that?
Yeah, D-I-N-G-A-K-A.
Okay.
There are a couple of good things on it, but it's not, now I've heard a lot more and it's not very good. But it was enough to really interest me in exploring rhythm and some of that harmony. And so on the third album, which is one about I was working on it about 4 years ago now, I began with different rhythm patterns as a process of writing, rather than finding the rhythm after the song, melody, or lyric ideas are established, which had often been the way of working previous to that. So the clearest sort of marker in that direction was the Biko track on the third album, and also two others. There's Normal Life, which is a variation of the Bo Diddley rhythm, which in fact originates from the Congo, although it's understated in that track. And then the song No Self-Control, which uses marimba textures, which I'd been very attracted to in the music of Steve Reich, music for 18 musicians particularly. And I wanted to try working with that percussion-based texture in a rock song. And then I think, I got involved in some world music festival last year, and leading up to that, I sort of began to listen to other things. I also heard the Talking Heads, Bernino, Holger Zukai, Can things, and the way that other people were using rhythms, and that sort of opened up different possibilities in my head. I think the whole thing with the rhythm is something that I don't wish to spend overlong talking about, in the sense that I'm very enthusiastic about it, but I still feel that I am essentially a white Western rock musician, and I use these things as triggers or starting points. I have no pretenses at all about playing African music or music from any other part of the world.